Today, Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.7, their most capable model yet, and in the world of frontier AI, today's flagship is next month's baseline. So what actually changed, who should care, and what are the risks hiding behind the benchmark charts? In the next 10 minutes, I am going to give you the promise and the risk of this release, and a framework you can use to evaluate every new model that lands after this one. Because there will be a lot of them, let me give you some context for why this matters. In 2023, the world got excited about a single release, GPT-4. One model, one moment. Fast forward to today, and frontier AI labs are shipping major model upgrades every few months. Anthropic alone has released Opus 4 in May 2025, Opus 4.1 in August, Haiku 4.5 in October, Opus 4.5 in November, Opus 4.6 in February 2026, Sonnet 4.6 also in February, and now Opus 4.7 today. That is 8 significant frontier releases in under a year. And this is the thing most people are getting wrong. They are treating each release like a one-off news event. Read the headline, move on. But for anyone who depends on AI in their work, and that is most of us now, the real question is different. The question is, should I change how I use AI today? And that question deserves an actual framework, not a hot take. So let me give you the facts as documented by Anthropic as of today. There are 3 changes that actually matter for most people. 1, Opus 4.7 is Anthropic's most capable, generally available model. Their own migration guide describes it as a step change improvement in agentic coding over Opus 4.6. That is their language, not mine. Translation: tasks where the model needs to plan, write code, check its own work, and iterate. That is what got dramatically better. 2, the 1 million token context window is now generally available at standard pricing. A token is roughly 3/4 of a word. So a 1 million token context is in the ballpark of a 750,000 word document. Think entire books, entire legal cases, entire code bases. 3, and this is the interesting catch, Opus 4.7 uses a new tokenizer. That is the piece we talked about in episode 3, the part that chops your text into tokens. The new tokenizer can use up to 35% more tokens for the same text, which means your costs may look different even if you change nothing else about your prompts. There is one more thing worth flagging. For organizations with data residency requirements, Opus 4.7 supports US-only inference at a small pricing premium. Let me show you what the agentic coding leap actually looks like, because the benchmark numbers only tell you part of the story. What you are seeing is the model planning, executing, checking its own work, and iterating, not a chatbot, an agent. Old models could do pieces of this. Opus 4.7 does it with meaningfully less handholding on longer tasks with fewer resets. That is what a step change in agentic coding actually feels like. For developers, this is real. It means the slice of your work that you can reasonably delegate just got bigger. Tasks that used to require you to babysit the model, you can increasingly hand off. But here is the honest version. Capability at the top is not the same as reliability across the board. The model is better at agentic work. That does not mean it is always right. Zoom out to the enterprise view, and the Opus 4.7 release is really about 3 things that matter for anyone running AI in a regulated or high-stakes environment. First, long context is no longer a luxury tier. 1 million tokens at standard pricing means you can put an entire contract portfolio or legal case in front of the model. Second, data residency. The option to restrict inference to US infrastructure is exactly the kind of control enterprise buyers and their security teams have been asking for. Third, agentic reliability. Every step up in agentic capability pushes more categories of work across the threshold of being work my team will actually trust. Now take one step back with me, because this release is not just about what 4.7 does, it is about the cadence. 8 frontier releases from one lab in under 12 months. Think about what happened with smartphones in the 2010s. Every year, faster chip, better camera. Most of us stopped paying attention to the spec sheet. We just upgraded. AI is not at that stage yet. the jumps are still big enough to matter. But we are heading in that direction, which means you need a way to decide when a new release warrants changing what you do. Now, let me give you the risks. Risk number 1, the capability governance gap. Model capability is advancing on a timeline of weeks. Organizational governance moves on a timeline of quarters. Regulatory frameworks move on a timeline of years. With the EU AI Act coming fully into force in August 2026, that gap is not academic. It is the risk you underestimate the most. Risk number 2, migration is not free. Opus 4.7 uses a new tokenizer. It can use up to 35% more tokens for the same fixed text. If your strategy is built on one vendor's newest model, you are coupled to their release cadence and pricing decisions. Most organizations choose this trade-off by accident. Risk number 3, benchmark fatigue. Every frontier release comes with charts showing the new model beating the last one, but a benchmark is not the same as your workload. Question 1, what actually changed? Not what the marketing says. What does the official documentation describe as new? Stick to the facts in the release notes. Question 2, so what? From my work specifically, if the improvement is agentic coding and you do not write code, the answer might be, nothing changes for me this week. That is a valid answer. Question 3, now what, if anything? If the answer to so what is real, then now what is the plan? Run a small evaluation on your own workload. Compare it to what you have. Claude Opus 4.7 is a genuinely impressive release. The agentic coding improvement is real. The long context at standard pricing is a quiet but meaningful shift. But the real story is not this one model. It is the cadence. The one skill that actually travels is the ability to tell the difference between industry news and personal action. All right, if you are using Claude today or evaluating whether to, here's what I would actually do about Opus 4.7 this week. 1, read the official migration guide. 2, if you run agentic workloads, put Opus 4.7 side by side with 4.6 on a real task from your work, not a demo task, a real one. See the difference for yourself. 3, recalculate your token budgets. The new tokenizer changes the math. If you have cost controls or rate limit logic built on token counts, check that your assumptions still hold. 4, if you have data residency requirements, talk to your compliance team about the US-only inference option. It comes with a pricing premium, but for many the trade-off is obvious. 5, update your team's internal guidance on which model to use for which task. Every frontier release is a chance to tighten your playbook. Most organizations never do it. If this episode helped you, hit subscribe. And in the comments, tell me, what is your personal filter for deciding whether a new model release is worth your attention? I read every single comment. Thank you for watching.